Hello, Cosmic Crew. I am attempting to do this live outside from my phone, first time, because, woo, getting all this information out. I've got videos piled up to get done and editing, so getting some of these messages across to you guys in this way is a heck of a lot faster. But I want to make sure that the message comes through. I don't see anyone on yet, and so let me see. All right, we're just gonna go for it. Hopefully we're catching this. Right now I want to just tell everyone hello. It is an 11/11 day. We are the 28th of October, which is an 11 and an 11 year. And yesterday on the 27th, yes, you guys are there. Thank you. I'm going live like on the spur, but there's some information that has been really coming online with everyone is this cosmic, this full interception of timelines, and everything is happening in the collective, in the physical, and just understanding the energy imprints that are being made either by us, if we want to look at the higher timeline, or the ones that are being made by what we'll call the energy that we're polarizing, okay, those lower frequencies. In this higher dimension that we step in now, the mastery and why Venus has gone retrograde for us and is still going retrograde is so that we can remember how these constructs were set up in this dimension so we can shift it. And it's just an awareness point, and it's just the ability. Can y'all hear me okay? It's just recognizing and being aware of it so that we can call in that energy. And so the message today, and I'm going to repeat because all you guys are jumping on, but this is an 11/11 gateway, okay? And yesterday we had not one, but 2 portals open in the dimension. In the astrology, we had 2 Stargate portals. As a collective now, we're going to start going back into the galactic energies and understanding again how energy is imprinted in this dimension and what physical things are happening in timelines that are making some of these lower frequency energies. And the main thing that I want to really get across right now that just really came over me this morning is when we talk about purple, and we talk about purple rain, yeah. Right? Let's sing it. Purple rain, purple rain. Purple rain, purple rain. I only want to see you laughing in the purple rain. The purple rain is us now. Our energy in the ascended blended of the light and the dark, of the choice of no longer having to be Democrat or Republican. This is what we are now, team. We are purple rain, R-E-G-N. We are the reign of the purple. This is happening as simply as this, and this all gets down to alchemization. And from a timeline perspective, how all this came flooding over me is I was making a video for y'all laughing about this whole bomb thing. I call it like too woke, the cosmic comics, right? Get it? S cosmic comics, because it is. And I'm going to get back to purple rain, but I'm going to use this bombing, how my consciousness explained it to me. Yes, I see the purple rain in the chat. Oh, I got chills all over me. how this was explained to me and brought into my awareness started from talking about this whole bombing thing, okay? Because when we look at these timelines now, we have to just laugh. And I want to make sure everyone understands why it's getting so comical and why we can see it so easily. Because on the planet before, we basically had a dark energy, a lower frequency energy that was just a polarized aspect of ourselves, guys. It was just the polarized opposite of us, and it's what's still existing right now. But behind the scenes, what they had was us. The starseeds, the 144,000, those of us that are linked to the human genome on the planet, we're utilizing us to create new timelines. Well, since we have unplugged, right, they can no longer create. So this is why, and this led me to this because, you know, right now I am actually in an apartment complex that I want to move to. This is where I'm doing the live from, because I am manifesting that reality with my energy. And this is where I decided to come do this live today for you guys. Same thing. I'm drumming up energy right here so that my frequency can meet this energy. Now, when we talk, so right now I'm living at my parents' still upstairs, right? It's like I've got this little apartment upstairs, and they always have the news on. And I know that there's a reason that I'm still there, and there's a reason that they always have the news on. Because every single time that I go downstairs, it's one of them always has the news on. And I'm laughing because I'm guided to go downstairs for specific reasons, and then there'll be one little news prompt that shows me something that links back to energy so that it's brought into my awareness so I can call it in. This is how that video came to be made, exposed, that I did on the royal weddings, right? Because who knew there was a royal wedding when I went downstairs and saw it? So this started with the bombings, the bomb scares, because it's all a big, huge joke, right? They started that campaign per the astrology. 2 days ago is when we had Venus combust the sun. So we had a huge rewrite for Venus with all the new DNA codes that we just brought in. The collective is still at 0 degrees, but on that day, 2 days ago, when I did the last video, that was when it was in perfect alignment and the collective nodes had just got into 0 degrees, okay? Let's go back now 3 days before that is when we get these bombs that when you look at them, right, you're like, okay, this is a supercomputer in my hand. That's a bomb. Yeah, right. It looked like those 1950s hand vibrators that my grandparents used to have. And you're telling me that those got through all the post office to 13 people. There's that number again. Where did the Las Vegas shooting happen? On the 13th floor. What are we changing? The 13th bloodline. So now we have the collective associating that number 13 to this terrorist type of attack is what they're trying to make it out to look like. They sent it to these specific entities, and yes, I'm going to call them entities because this is really important. When we start talking about the spiritual constructs that we're breaking out of, and when we start talking about alchemizing the energy for the collective at this ascended stage, which is we are the purple rain, and this is what we now have capacity to do. But we have to remember that, like, when we talk about, you know, Obama, for example, or Queen Elizabeth, for example, okay? That's not just one being. In the constructs of this dimension, there's all this intent that is given to that person to control other, it's like its own corporation, if you want to, in the 3D. It's like it's the corporation. So whenever they sent these bombs to these specific entities, then what they were doing to the collective is trying to drum up sympathy. They wanted sympathy leading up to this Venus conjunction that happened 2 days ago. So it started, they started sending it, oh, you know, feel sorry, right? So that was that specific energy that they were drumming up for the collective to give them more power, because they're losing their power. They no longer have a puppet master, because we were the puppet masters before, but we didn't know that. So the only thing that they can do is go back to like their vault, their library of timelines, and go, okay, what is the intent that we're trying to do, and let's pull out this old timeline and fit it into Saturn, fit it into that 3D construct, and then try to drum up the energy. So they were drumming up the energy for that, and then it was like, okay, 2.5 days later, on the day that Venus is combust the sun, everything's lined up, everything's 0 degrees, is when they come out. And this is when I started laughing, and this is the cosmic comic part, and this is when you're very aware that there's not a master plan, because we're getting higher and higher in energy, and you can just see it. I came downstairs that day, and they know who it is, and it was so funny because they hadn't caught him yet, and they're blasting his name and stuff all over the Jeff Sessions came out and did some big ta-da about it, and basically, you know, saying he's not guilty yet, but you can't combat the government like this. Well, then the next thing we see is what? A white flatbed truck with a white van on the back and a helicopter following it down a road, legit straight up, even with palm trees. Now, does anybody, what is white Bronco? When I saw that, I about lost it. I started laughing so hard, because that was the white Bronco scene that we had during that whole OJ thing. And the van looks like the mystery van from Scooby-Doo. To me. I don't know what y'all are saying. But so that's what they were doing. So on that day when we had Venus combust, when what is the most important thing that we want to give up, you know, with letting go and ascending, right? What's the main thing? It's judgment. What's the main thing that Venus, that Libra, and this energy that's now on the planet, that we brought in it, that now we're integrating, so that we're always toggling back and forth, so that we're actually reviewing all the information from our intuition, from our Akash, so that we can bring the purple rain, okay? Well, that's judgment. So on the day that Venus combust and all that was happening, what did they do? They flashed everything out, judge him, judge him, judge him. But in the background, they're going, but he's not guilty, but here's his name and his address, and here's his mystery van, and, you know, it's got like Trump all over it, all right? So it's very obvious. And it links all back to the astrology and even to the intent. Because that's definitely a timeline that they're trying to replay with the O.J. Simpson trial. Well, the O.J. Simpson trial, at the end, the whole thing was not about a murder case. The whole thing was about black and white. And there is no black and white. You know, I had a conversation with an ex-NFL football player last week that I ended up sitting next to, and his friend, and we got on the topic of something in regards to growing up and how white people grew up versus black people grew up in their neighborhoods. And I looked at them straight in the eye and said, look, I've lived more lifetimes as a black person than I have a white person, so don't even try to go there with me. And they were like, what? I mean, it was awesome. They weren't, you know, fully awakened and conscious, but they understood it. And then it's like the whole conversation leveled. And that's what we're bringing in. So when I started putting that together and about the timelines and being reminded, then at that point it was a black and white thing. Well, right now what it is a red and a blue thing. it's a Democrat and a Republican thing. So they're using that same template of timeline to create polarity, but within a different, broader spectrum. So, you know, I was thinking, okay, well, I know that intuitively, you know, we're going to have a new galactic structure that will be a balance point, because we can't just reset every, you know, in the near future, we're still going to have Democrat and Republican. So in my mind, it's like, and in my knowing, I knew that there was a balance point in between that was starseeds. It was galactic. I mean, this is the space programs, and all these things are coming out. We're going to be acknowledged only if we stand up to be acknowledged, crew. I'm not going to have a big press conference. It's going to go, hey, the starseeds are here. Like, we got to keep standing up. But I knew that there was going to be a purple layer in between that was like hearing this side, okay, and then it was this layer in between. And in my human mind, I was thinking that we were going to have to create a department for it, and there was going to have to be people elected, right? Because you go back to that 3D construct, and knowing that that has to happen, because for each human being on this planet, as they're stepping in, because the unconscious are now stepping into their timelines because it's been completed. So more and more people are getting waves of consciousness to where they can make these new decisions. Once the beings, and especially those on future timelines who have internal soul knowings of this, as those conjunctions come across, because it goes in waves through the astrology, it's all about the energy, then when they see, okay, I don't have to choose red, I don't have to choose blue, I can choose purple, and purple is an option, okay, then they realize, and once they do that a couple of times, it's reprogramming their brain to where all these polarity situations that come out, then they'll be able to step into a new truth, because literally a lot of them don't even understand that they're able to do that, because we had given up so much of our sovereignty in the past, and that's what remembering and awakening is about. But here's the cool thing. So, and this is why I had to jump on real quick. We are the purple right now. We don't have to have an office. We're connected in the plasma. This is how we've made all this happen to this point, is calling it in for the collective within the energy DNA that we hold the imprint to, and attaching our energy to it. So in these timeline situations, and as we're reminded, and we see the mystery van driving down the road, and you know, the shootings, and you know, these timelines that are replaying, and souls that have signed up to replay these timelines to give us awareness. What we're being reminded to do is to call it back. And this is the same thing with NFL football, which we're going to do today before I hang up on this 11/11 gateway. You know, football, concerts, churches, I mean, every meditation, every live that you're on, if beings are tuned in to that, and now that we are legit, it's a new galactic calendar, we are straight and clean, everybody is clean. If you haven't signed a new contract at a spiritual level, given your intent to a lower frequency, then your energy is clean and shiny and new. Now, what does it mean to be mastering this energy? And what does it mean to be able to then utilize it and transmute it? It means that you're conscious enough to do it. And this is why throughout history it's only said, you know, it only takes one, because it only took one of us and to do our one little part, even though we didn't know that it was all interconnected, but it was the intuition that guided us to this point. And it's now that we have really bumped it up, and we're gonna keep going. But now that this energy is is getting higher and higher and higher, understand that within your energy vessel, when I saw that what they were doing originally to drum up the sympathy, I stopped. I tuned in to that energy because I was aware. I didn't pass judgment. I actually laughed. I was aware what was going on, okay? And this is how each of us do this. When we see unfairness, this is what we do. We are the purple rain. We call it in, and we call it out. All energy that is being drummed up either by any lower frequencies or sympathy or attachment, that is being energy that subconsciously the collective is attaching to, because they haven't gained the perception to make their own decision. If their higher self is in tune with and align with my higher frequency, then I pull all that energy in that is being drummed up from those higher selves that are looking for an ascension timeline and to attach to my field. I process all of that energy through my field and I give back pure love. All energy will be used to raise the consciousness on the planet and to be transmuted into love, into their field, so their internal field, so that their consciousness can raise, so they can put a perception together and a remembrance. And so it is. That's the purple rain. And it's what we're being called to do, because we are restoring balance by energetically just collapsing these constructs. This was also, you know, I went live at that concert that night. I just ended up at that concert through a synchronicity, paid for a $20 ticket, ended up 5th row. But I knew when I got down there that we were all, y'all were all with me. We were this was on 2020. We were drumming up the energy, and we had balls. We actually saved some of it in some balls and some energy balls that we were drumming up. But you know, I attached every energy in every being in that building for that period of time. I allowed to transmute their energy through my energy field for the highest consciousness, and it was amazing. And what we did on the planet is, I mean, I was, and we grounded that energy in, and then we shot 2 huge waves into the atmosphere from that energy. Understand that, you know, the football and those things, it's not that it's bad, but we just have to realize that the intent for the whole thing is to utilize that energy. Because whenever they're wah, yay, or whenever we were like mwah, mwah, I can't even take a shower today because my team lost, right? Well, that's the siphoning. That's the energy that is being used then and against us in a way, right? But again, this is that dark and light, dark and light, dark and light. We want to be the purple rain. So we have that ability. And this is what we're called to do. And this is why the timelines have sped up for the Ascension. This is why these waves are coming quicker and quicker. And, excuse me, the earth changes are starting to happen as well. And this, of course, led me back to Prince. Because what Prince understood as a mega star seed, and he was a 9. He came in for there's 4 9-year chains of the timeline for the 36-year procession, and he was in the 2nd phase. This is the 3rd phase. And he knew that the contract that he signed with Sony, what he had signed over unknowingly, and there's another monarch butterfly. I've seen, oh my God, now I'm looking around. I just looked up monarch butterflies yesterday. A whole nother story. What Prince knew was that, and what he became aware of, is that he signed over all the energy for all of his music. All the energy that was drummed up at the concerts, all the energy that was drummed up when we were making love to it, in our living rooms, completely separated. Every time anybody uttered his name, it was attached to this construct. And this is why he changed his name to a symbol, because then no one could spell it, no one could put a spell on it, because he was getting bombarded, and it was basically feeding his opposition as he was freeing his energy. The vault, you know, the mystery vault with all the music is not just the music, it's the energy, because Prince's legacy, I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to line up, but you watch. We're going to be in touch with the Prince camp, and at some point, somehow, our movement is going to intersect, and his music is going to be relaunched, and he already has music recorded for it all. He actually has a song named June that's talking about his death. So, so when he won that lawsuit, what he did was he freed the vault. He freed the energy for all of that music, because if he wouldn't have done that, that energy that drummed up was being used against the evolution revolution, right? It's against Ascension and the awakening. So I hope that makes sense. And I've got literally a hockey game to go to. My son's playing hockey, and I'm just down the street. You guys, how are you guys? Let me see what this is saying. I'm doing this for my phone. That makes so much sense. It is, right? In June, sometimes it snows. In April, I can't, what is the name of that song? If you listen to, he has two of his last two albums. Oh gosh, and now I can't remember the name. Oh, Hit and Run. Hit and Run 1 and Hit and Run 2. Go listen to those albums from beginning to end. He takes you on the whole journey, even talking about being light years away. You know, he has songs that are written to his soul twin frequency, which, now that we're talking about this, if you think that you have a twin that's famous, either they're deceased or not deceased, you're not crazy. That is a 9th and 12th dimension program that we could have entered into, especially the higher dimensional frequencies of the star beings like we are. It's kind of like the haves and the have-nots. And I never watched Prince, guys. Like, I never. Like, I knew Purple Rain, but it was funny, my whole journey up to this point in 3D, I was always kept away from music, right? The things that are going to trigger us, we kept away from ourselves until it was time to integrate them back in. And this is leading me to the twin thing, and I'm going to throw this in there, and then I've got to log off. This whole twin construct was the polarity of the light and the dark, and being able to, and having to fractal our energy off in order to embody in this lower dimension. Remember, we're having, it's like we're the big hurricane, and we've got to fractal our energy off in order to fit in this vessel. And now what's happening is the energy's raising. It's like opening us up, and we're pulling all of these fractaled selves back in. Well, in a lower dimension, the twin concept had to be done for the evolution because we had to fractal off our frequencies into other beings so that we could get the energy here, because we couldn't embody it all within one vessel. And in this current upgrade, what's happening is we're pulling all of those back in. So understand that your twin, you know, is not necessarily a physical person in the beginning. You have to get past that, because that is an old construct that we needed to get us to here, because we were more grounded to the root chakra. We were more grounded to the earth, to the 3D. And so our minds, just like how we started, this is going to go around full circle, just how we started talking about not being able to decipher the blue and the purple to, you know, the blue and the red to make the purple. This is a shift where we're seeing that in a lower density, we had to make it a sexual type of contact that was the energy that guided us together in the lower dimension, so that we could then create that imprint. And this is where we get, you know, into the Christed and Mary Magdalene and Jesus bloodlines, and because that's what a lot of us are, is the true 13th bloodline, which is actually why they're using that number 13 with everything too. But when we come into what we're being called and what we're being reminded is what these fractals really are. And so again, our mind associate, like my twin, when I woke up, I knew was Prince, which was like, what? And I just now in the past month have understood it, and just now said, okay, I understand that that is just another that it's just another fractal of myself. It's not like Prince is going to come back to life and we're going to get together in a physical and he's going to be Prince, okay? But his energy frequency, as I opened up and said, okay, I received this integration of myself. I've also had to do that because it's more than just a twin, and this is why we have to break out of that male-female or male-male, or it's a physical type of relationship in the beginning, okay? Make the shift that you're just bringing in your fragments, because, you know, like another fragment of mine was my inner child. I had fractaled off my inner child to keep it pure because of all the shit that I had to do that was not my normal. I couldn't have done it if I would have had my full self. I couldn't have done the crap that, the polarity crap that I had to do in other timelines in order to get us here. So if I couldn't acknowledge that what the twin really was, that it was just another fractal of myself, then I couldn't retrieve the inner child. Does that make sense? So we're calling it all back in. Now, once, that's a big one for a lot of us, once you shift out of that and call it in, then that's whenever you resonate to your full frequency, and that's when a physical being will then come in your awareness that matches your true overall frequency. So if you're not pulling in your twin from an energetic perspective and embodying it and letting go of the expectation of a physical union, then whenever your match does come, there's still only going to be half of you. And you're not, and it's still going to drive you damn crazy because you won't have the full match of the full you. That's a beautiful way to put it. Thank you. So 11:11, yes! So right now, I call on the crew. I call on all extensions within our beings to open up and to integrate at the highest frequency possible in the highest timeline in all dimensions of all space and time in this now. I open up the Stargate within my being to attach to all energy that's associated to all the starseed points and associated to all beings across the collective, conscious or unconscious, to hear these messages. We are all opening up and ascending and evolving the human being. Some of the things that we know and think to be true, we now are questioning, and this is normal, and we're grateful. We call on these energies of the collective to intertwine with our fields, and for those of us, when we reach the consciousness level and when our heart is blended and when enough of our soul, and as we transmute the energy from the collective, it raises our vibration to impact more and more beings on the planet, as we show that we serve in the purple, that we serve in complete balance of the light and the dark, with no judgment and with only always awareness, and then an opportunity for a different solution and a different choice. As we embody these energies, and as we transmute the collective energies, and as we can transmute all of these feelings of fear and remorse and judgment and guilt and hate, understanding and identifying that all of it had to be done for a reason, understanding and identifying that it was all for the evolution and for heaven on earth that we are residing in now, and a higher consciousness and ascended of not just human beings, but of the multiverses and the galaxies that are ascending in completion of a full galactic cycle in this now. All energy that is being used by unconscious collective and has not been given intent, or conscious individuals, as we forget and as we remember to give intent. All energy that is not assigned to the lower frequencies is now in control of the Stargate and this collective. And right now, every football game, every concert, every action that is taken by a lower frequency against the sovereign beings and their higher selves that are connected to the 144,000 that we represent on this channel as the cosmic crew, is now transmuting through our fields and processing up to pure oxygen, pure consciousness, pure white light, and is ascending Gaia and humanity. All is one. For we are one, and we have one. And so it is. Hoot hoot. I gotta go. I love you guys, and I'm gonna be putting a video out tonight. I want to add this real quick. You know, my son is a double simian lines, and I haven't spoke about this for a lot of reasons. Number one, it wasn't time. It was too soon to really understand the full connection of what the double simian represent. And even though my awakening has been really, really quick and a quickening, I always knew at a soul level I was keeping, it wasn't time. And my son, he knows what's going on. He totally knows what's going on. He tells me what's going on, but I was keeping in separate until yesterday. I was guided to take him on a mission. Yesterday, him and I were in the Chickasaw Dam. We were in the Chickasaw in Oklahoma, where all this oil drilling and everything is, because it's right around the ancient lands. Because the oil is really the blood. The oil that they're siphoning is really our energy. And these are some of the big things that we've been collapsing. So we were led there, and we have beautiful footage, but he's being activated now. And I know a lot of the double simians are. And the double simian is a living stone. And I'm going to do another video about this, but this is where we got attacked by the ladybugs. And we had monarch butterflies. We saw, within 20 minutes, we saw a deer with an injured leg that we called in healing from, and then 10 minutes later, we hit a deer. Two deer ran in front of our car. The hoof, there's another monarch, the hoof hit the car, and then within another 5 minutes, we were the deer in headlights because we almost got hit by a car that was coming straight at us. It was like these timelines, and these lessons, you know, walking through our current reality in this state is just so cool, because you're so aware of everything, and you know that you're creating it all, and that it's all for a purpose. Nothing is by chance. Circles, circles, circles. I mean, we crossed over the Red River 6 times, and every single time we crossed over the Red River, I was calling in codes. This is just all going back to our earlier conversation. We got this, guys. We are the purple rain. This is heaven on earth. We are, all of us light workers, spread out all over the world. Even though they're not watching this channel, they are getting this information. We're all connected. When you're guided to do it, just do it. And when you do, and you don't show any fear, and you show up and say and do whatever it is. I mean, I'm speaking light language out here in the middle of, you know, people are walking their dogs and stuff, whatever. No one says anything. Do we get a lot of thumbs down on this channel? Heck no. Do we get a lot of people calling me crazy? Ever? Ever? I think maybe there's been, on my channel, I don't think ever. Now, I've gotten some crazy responses when I respond on other people's channels. It's not gonna happen. Release it, do it. And that sparks our energy, and then we all raise up together, because you're transmuting that fear for yourself, which then is transmuting for every single being that's attached to your field. Mwah. Love you all of the all, for we are not small. We are taller than tall. Peace out, Cosmic Crew. See you later. Call it in. We're Donkey Kong, and we are shutting it down.